Okay. All right, fab. So we are live. We are recording. Let's have a look. Okay, great. So let me get back to my screen. Okay, this is what we have. So I'm just going to create a new workspace. Or to be honest, I've got plenty. So let me just throw them into one of these. Actually, no, yeah, it doesn't cost me anything. So create a new workspace. I'm going to go to create. I'm going to select sheet and then I'm going to select Gantt. Okay. Now, let me just title this training 2026. Okay. Now, this, what you see here is just your basic standard sheet, right? Every plan, then realistically, you can plus or minus make it how you want to make it, but typically, this has everything you need. Okay. So you got your primary column assigned to status, start, finish, duration, predecessor, which you've spoken about, risk. All right. You can obviously, as you expect, you'll be able to add different columns. So if I was to say insert column now, I can then add something else, if that was the case. Um, yeah, exactly. Modified by, modified date. So you can do a lot, and you don't have to use these columns. You can just, create something for yourself. Okay. But in terms of what we are wanting to do today, this pretty much does it. So what you're going to see today is I'm going to walk through to a good level, right? And then everyone is expected to actually complete their own and send it in. Okay. I know I've said it before that, some places don't even use planning tools. But again, I'd rather we work to a high standard than no standard at all, right? Just to manage expectations. So thankfully, I have a sheet here. So you should all have access to this sheet. And this is literally just an office setup and IT infrastructure project plan, right? Now, if I was to quickly, let's just go to, let me just do this in fact. So IT project manager, infrastructure, let's say office setup manager jobs, something along those lines. Okay. Just to give you a taste, let me see what this is saying. Trying to find something that is relatable, but I can happily tell you that at least with these types of jobs, again, I'm not saying this is what you're going to walk into tomorrow, but it's a goal to work towards. And with these type of jobs, as a contract, you can be taking anywhere from like 550 plus, per day. And I want to say it's simple because myself, I don't like to look at anything as a challenge and I don't like to overcook anything, especially not where all I need is the one head that everybody else has got. Okay. So these things are very simple. It's just about applying ourselves and, thinking through the process. And again, asking questions, like if you have to be that 5 or 6 year old that every response you give them, they follow up with a why, why, why. All right. So call it life advice, but that's the reality of it. So I'm just going to set this up. So hopefully by now you have all created your sheets and you all see this at a minimum. Okay. So let's focus on this. Let me just bring this together. Let's minimize so that we only have what we need to see, which is this. Great. So I've got my data here. Okay. Now, again, realistically, this is not something that is given to you. All right. So remember, you would have gone through the process of firstly understanding the requirements from your stakeholders. What do they want? Right. Well, take a step back. Identify your stakeholders. We've talked about that several times in training. But key thing is you want to identify your stakeholders. Who am I serving? Right? Who matters? Who doesn't matter? Who has power? Who doesn't have power? All those good things. Very, very important before you then get to, okay, what are their requirements? So what do they actually need? What do they want? And again, that big word, the big D, driver. What is driving the project? Because ultimately that will determine the pace, the velocity, the level of efforts that would go behind the project. And again, the prioritization of the project within the organization. And you can imagine with large organizations, when they have multiple projects taking place, multiple project managers, it's all going to be about, okay, which project has the biggest impact, which one is really crucial to the business. So they might not be pushing everything at 100 miles an hour, but they will definitely try and find a balance as best as they can. Okay, so I'm going to do a few of these just to give you guys as a guide. Again, I don't want to teach you how to suck eggs, but this is just something we're going to do. All right, so I've got my data here. So what I'll just do, again, I can see maybe some people are in there. That's fine, no problem. I'll just take this as a starter and let me just drop it in here. So this phase, as you can see, is phase one, requirements and planning. That's my first phase. So now let me just get rid of all of this as it's not required. Okay, so what was it called again? I totally just forgot, which is phase one, requirements and planning. So let me just do that. So first of all, here I'm going to put in my project title, office setup projects. Let's plan. That's my first. Then phase one. Yep, and phase one is requirements gathering and planning. Okay. Remember what I was saying on Saturday? These are not equal. This is the project in itself. This phase one is a phase within the project. So automatically, if I'm doing this right, I need to ensure that I set it up correctly from the start. So what does that mean? That means because this is a child of office setup, all I want to do is indent it. I've indented it. Now you see it. It's automatically done that. It's pushed it in to show there's an order of things, right? Now followed by the data I copied, okay? Now, typically you would have to type this out yourself, but the data has already been given to you, so it's there, all right? Now, can someone on the call tell me what am I now supposed to do? What's the next thing for me to do now? Try and find the mute button and press that and then speak. So what am I supposed to do now? What's my next step?
Is it listing the task?
I've got the task there.
All right. Is it indent? Well, copy and paste and indent it on the phase one.
Exactly. So I put the data there. So I've indented it once, but this is not good enough because indenting it once still puts it in the same line and the same value and the same weight as phase one, but that's not correct because it doesn't equal to this. It's not the same level as phase one. It is activities or deliverables, if you prefer that, within phase one. So if that's the case, again, I will indent it. And you now see there's now an order to things. So this is where if you're not understanding your project and how things fit in, right, you will mess it up. Okay. So we clearly know we're going to be working on this project based on phases. I've got the project itself, I've got the phases and then activities or deliverables within that phase. So that information is there. And you can see the whole thing there. I've expanded it. You can see the whole thing. All right. Okay, good. So let me go back to, let me try and move this a little bit. Okay, let me go back to my sheet. All right. So you can see it there. And then this here is a milestone, which is requirement signed off. And then again, you've got all the owners, the resources of those activities, starts and finish dates. You've got all of that there. Likewise, duration. So for the sake of completeness, let me just lift and shift. So now start and finish dates. Again, I need to put that here on this line because this is the first activity. Okay, so I'll just drop those there. In doing that, what has it done? You can see it has automatically filled up the dates above, right? And like I've said, let me minimize this for now, or just reduce it. Like I said, this date here, okay, rather the phase, this phase one, okay, phase one will pick its own start and finish date from the activities within it. So that means it will pick the earliest start date of the activity within it, and likewise the latest finish date of the activity within it. That is what it will pick. It doesn't mean, please be mindful, it doesn't mean it's going to pick this first task as its own starting date if there's another task within here that starts earlier. Ideally, yes, it would be nice to put your task in chronological order, but that might not necessarily happen. Okay, and it doesn't have to happen as long as you understand what you're doing. It's nice, but I wouldn't say it's a must, you know. So if I had a task here that starts earlier than all the other tasks, yeah, so be it. That's just how it is. Okay, so you can see that there. I start my finish date automatically. Again, it's already calculated the duration, right? So it's picked the duration here for the phase, and likewise the project. Because this is the only phase just now so far, that's why it's been just done that straight away. Okay, now if there's another phase, if you're following me, if there's another phase that even starts earlier than phase one, right? Or there's an activity within that phase that starts earlier than a task in phase one, it will pick that date as the start date for the project. Okay, so let's carry on. Now, as you see here, this doesn't show us any connectivity, it doesn't show us any dependencies, right? So as far as it's concerned, all these activities are standalone, but we know that's not going to be the case, because if you go back to your sheet, you can see here, where do we have a dependency? Okay, I've not put a dependency. Okay, I can sort that quite easily. All right, then put a dependency in there and the job is done. So let me see here. This is duration of 2 days. Is it the same on here? Or what am I seeing? 5 days. So this is okay. Now, just a side note. Smartsheets most of the time is operating based on American date format. That's why it's flipped it round. So this would have been April 1st. It is April 1st actually. But then why? Sorry, 1 second, because the dates here, the Excel dates are 2, which is 1st of April, 2nd of April. Okay, I'm not sure. I think it's changed the dates there. 1st of April to the 7th. Okay, 5 working days. Fine. I'm not so bothered about that. But coming back to the dependencies, if I wanted to show a relationship with the activities, I could literally come to predecessor and just type in whichever activity it is dependent on, right? Now, again, the most common type of dependency is a finish to start dependency, meaning activity A must finish before activity B can start. That's the most common dependency. Now, if that's the case, I can literally just drop the number in there and say line 4 is dependent on line 3. Okay. Line 5 is dependent on line 4. Okay. Right. What is happening now? What do you see happening? What has it now done? What do you see?
It has changed the dates according to the dependencies.
Okay, yeah. So the dependencies is now dictating where these are, right? So the whole point of this is if you as a project manager, if you have a full control of your project end to end, should anything slip, you can instantly see the impact. So again, even before it slips, you can kind of like I know hypothesize is not a word. That is not a word whatsoever. I think you can kind of get my idea. I've lost the word I'm looking for, but you can run an hypothesis that, oh, if this and that and then this and then that, right? You can then see what the outcome would be. So let's say now you're expecting some deliverables, maybe a vendor is supposed to send you something and they're running late, right? You could easily come to your sheet and say, you know what, okay, let me do like a scenario, right? So what actually ends up doing, or what project managers end up doing, is they will have multiple versions of the sheet. They would have the one source, which is going to be the baseline, but then they will now have other little versions where, you know, they've made a change here just to see how it would run. You understand? So what we could easily do is say, okay, you know what, if this activity is late, delivered late, doesn't come, whatever, what would be the impact? And then we can easily see that impact because we have placed in there dependencies between the activities and everything else, so we know what is going on. So the whole point now is, with that, if you look at the dates here for the phase in itself, we've got it there as this phase will take 15 days. So all it takes, let's make an assumption that, you know what, conduct stakeholder interviews to capture business needs. We've got that initially penned at 2 days. Something happens, somebody is sick, somebody's dog ate another dog, whatever you like, yeah? We can't do it. And it's now taking us, you know, longer. So if that longer is now, let me say, 25 days, now pay attention, okay? So don't forget, the overall phase was 15 days. We now have an activity that something has happened and that activity has slipped, right? Even if it slipped by 1 day, I can put it in here and I can see the impact. So that activity has slipped, okay? Or is going to slip, okay? Hypothetically speaking. Now, look at that. We've gone from 15 days overall for the phase to now 38 days. And likewise, because currently that's the only phase here, you can see the impact to the actual project in itself. Okay, so now the project in itself is now going to be, you know, 38 days, because that's the only phase, or that's the only activities happening within the project itself. Okay, now again, like I said, I mean, yes, we could easily list the names. So we've got all the key people that are doing the work. Let's just do this. So I'll just lift these, identify. Okay, there's something I need to do. Okay, good. There's something I need to do, right? And I'll show you that now. So if you come back to the sheet, so I've got the name of my resources, that's fine. If you come back to the sheet, you'll see something here. I'm not sure how clear it would be for you, okay? But for phase one, there is a deliverable, right? And then within that deliverable, there are now tasks and activities. So what I should have done, coming back to my plan, is I should have made it clear that this is a deliverable, this top line here, identify requirements for office setup. And then these are, guess what? They're actually activities within the deliverable. So what am I doing? Yes, 1, 2, 3, you're all correct. I'm going to indent this, right? I've indented it. Now you can see that the top line, this top line here, you can see now it's now a gray bar, which shows me that it has items, activities within it. It's a deliverable in itself, right? So when we're talking about deliverables, activities and tasks and phases and projects and programs and portfolios, right? You need to start seeing how that picture comes to life, right? In the sense of, you would have tasks. Tasks are maybe things that you could easily be done within a matter of, you know, a day or however. You know, there's no set rule. You can Google it. Maybe Google will tell you that a task must be this long, an activity must be that long. I don't really think it there is, but I've never been in an environment where we would class what is a task, what is an activity. Just get it done. You understand? So, but for the sake of fulfillment, you would have your task, you would have your activities, you would have your deliverables. Okay. From your deliverables, you would have possibly your milestones or your phases. Then don't forget, your phases would make up your projects. right? And if you're kind of thinking outwards from there, obviously your projects, okay, may sit into a program. Your program may be part of a portfolio. So that's where we now go back to all the different roles that we have, starting at the top, which could be a portfolio manager or portfolio director. Then you now get to the level of program manager, project manager, junior project manager, project coordinator, support, admin, blah, 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 and all the rest of that. Okay. So that's very clear for everybody to see. Everybody understands that, right? This at a minimum, this is the basic. Okay. What you now need to do is now start connecting every other thing together. So I'm quickly going to show you like now, okay, let's move on to phase 2. Okay, of another example. So similarly, I will just lift this. Right now, phase 2 is what? Space assessment and office design. So let me take that. I'll just drop it here. Again, it looks like it's kind of in line, but I'll tidy that and I'll make sure it is. And then let me take my deliverable and along with the activities that need to happen. Okay. The benefit here is the information is already here, so it's good. But typically, this is something you have to do. Now, again, looking at it, I can see clearly now, maybe let me zoom in a little bit. I can see that phase 2 is what? What is right or wrong with the way phase 2 is right now? What do you guys have to say? Can someone tell me? Anyone? Yep, just press on mute and speak.
It looks like phase 2 is not under office setup project plan.
Exactly. It's not, it's almost as if I'm trying to say, by living it like this, I'm trying to say they are of the same value, but they're not. Phase 1 and phase 2 are phases within the project itself. Therefore, I've got to come back here. And again, what am I doing? Indenting 1, right? Because I've already done this, let me see, is it in line? So another way to tell if it's in line or not, if I minimize this, I can see that you can see it there. They are equal to each other. So that's in line, right? Now, from the look of things, aha. So again, remember, if I go back to this, remember this is my deliverable. Assess space, assess space and design the office layout. That's my deliverable. So again, I've got to do that. And then these activities, again, I'm going to shift them into there. So now, if I was to say, minimize that, you can see now these 2 deliverables, although they're in different phases, they are both deliverables. So therefore, they're equal to each other, right? Likewise, if I expand them, you see the tasks are also in line because they're equal to each other. And then I can go back, take my dates, take the dates. So let's do, I did next to each other on here, which is resource assigned to is different. So let me just take this as a starter. My resources, let me put that there. Good. And then let me draw my dates as well. So let's do that. Okay. And then I'm just going to pop my dates in here. Okay, good. So now, guess what? It's not allowing me to put a date here. I'm trying to put a date here. Why is it not allowing me to put a date there, guys? Any idea?
Task.
Because it's a what?
It's a sub task under phase 2. It doesn't, so the activities under it should have the date, not the actual.
Not exactly. Because this already has got items and activities or tasks, whatever you want to call it, within it. Therefore, it cannot generate a date for itself. It cannot accept anything I put in. It must now take its date from the activities within it. So ideally, let me copy that again, and I'm only going to take these dates. So if I go back here and I'm here, I pop that there again automatically. it will now fill the date here. Likewise, the date for the phase as well, right? Now, if I'm looking at it, I think the start date for phase 1 and phase 2 might be the same, but obviously this is just, actually, let's change this back to, that was 2 days before. Okay, good. So yeah, we can still continue tidying that up, right? Now, let me come back out to a normal size. Okay, good. So you can see there, I've got everything I need. Obviously, these are the statuses. We can leave that as they are for now. That's not a problem. Then we've got what we need right now. Okay. So this is the barest minimum that you need to be able to do. So that's what you're going to go away and practice with. It's not overcomplicated, and there's no reason for anyone to get it wrong. It's simple, copy and paste, understand the logic, understand. Right now, we've only used like 5 things that we've used or learned right now, and it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. It's very easy to use, right? Now, obviously, we've got my, if I can just open this up a bit, I've got my Gantt chart here, which shows me everything I need to know. It shows me the relationship between the activities. Just to touch on that again. So remember, with the relationships, there are different types. Basic one is finish to start relationship. Again, I can put a lag. So I can say this activity must finish before this activity can start. But before it starts, there is a lag of X number of days. So for this purposes of examples, I'm now going to put a 5-day lag on this. You can see now, although they are connected, I've said this activity, when this finishes, this activity must start, but it must wait 5 days. So like a very simple example of that is assuming you were to plaster your house. So in plastering your house, if you've ever done that before, you know you can't just start painting immediately after you've plastered. Nope, you've got to wait. And you may have to wait up to 5 days, 10 days, depending on, how big the job is, right? So that's just an example right there. Likewise, I can change the type of relationship, finish to finish, meaning they both finish at the same time, start to start, start to finish, which is literally the opposite of finish to start, right? Again, you can only know all of these by asking questions. So asking your resources, the people that are going to do the work, what do you need? When are you going to do this? What happens before? What happens during? What happens after? Who does what? Where does this person come in? Where does that come in? Because that's for you as a PM, that covers your back. Because what you don't want is to be doing something, it's done, and then somebody in your resource now says, oh, I've done it, but now I need X, Y, X, Y. And it's like, well, that X, Y, X, Y, we could have been doing that since, or we could have put that order in if we know there's a lead time. So you really have to be good at asking questions. You understand? That's the best way I can put it when it comes to yourselves leading this as PMs, right? So you've got the data here. Okay, you've got the data here. Everything you need is there. I mean, we haven't gone as far as putting notes. You can just ignore those for now. That's not a problem. But everything you need is here. It covers all the different phases. There's only about 11, 12 phases to do. So it's not really difficult, I don't think. And you can see here all your tasks, all your activities that you need to actually have done, right? So I want you to create that as a base. And what we'll do over time is continue to expand on this. But you need to create it first, and you need to create it correctly. That's what needs to happen. Okay, good. Any questions? Any questions? No questions. All right.
Can we use the same dates?
Can you use the same dates? Yeah, feel free with the dates. Just make it start from April. Well, let's not use any past dates. Just keep it for April, yeah?
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, while I was trying to do the one you gave us last week, so for the predecessor, I was trying to put a number like the 2, 3, 4, but I noticed that at one point it was saying ref, like REF. So
Because
I
you're
don't.
setting the reference itself and it doesn't realize that you're saying that the dependency, but you're saying the dependency is its own self. So that's why it gives you ref. So maybe it's line 3 and you're typing in the dependency column, predecessor column, you're typing 3 in line 3. So it's like I don't know what you're talking about. That's why you're seeing ref.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
no worries.
Um,
Anybody? Yep.
since we're using the same date here, the finish to finish or start to finish, how that's where I'm gonna, I don't know, my head will be messed up because I'll be confused. That's what I'm trying to say.
Don't overcook it, is what I would tell you. For now, let's just keep it simple and let's all just go with the assumption that this is a logical flow. Therefore, task 1.2 is dependent on 1.1, 1.3 is dependent on 1.2, so on and so on and so on. That's all I want you to do right now. But what I would do as well is put down in there some dependencies. I can do that, but use your own logic for now. That's not a problem. You're not gonna, lose points, so to speak, for that. But yeah, we can easily do that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Good. Any more for any more? I don't think so. Okay. So please let's get this done. Ideally, what I want to do on Friday is have a couple of you present what you have done. Okay. Appreciate nobody followed with this method that we did with this session, rather. So as soon as I can, you'll get the recording for this as well. Then you can play around with it and just kind of follow at your own pace. But we need it for Friday, if that's okay. Today's Tuesday, and I believe there's more than enough time. For those that have sent me theirs already, fantastic. Thank you very much. From the previous class, that is, thank you. I'll be looking at that and giving you feedback. Okay. Great stuff. Evans, back to you.
All right, Chris, you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, do we need to finish all the phases, like from phase 1 to 12?
Yes,
Or
please.
just, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Dami.
So my question is for those that sent the one for Saturday, do we also have to send this?
How comfortable are you that you did a good job from Saturday?
Uh, yeah. Okay.
Say no more. No worries, no worries. I'll look at those that I've sent it from Saturday's class. I'll look at it tomorrow as well. I'll give you feedback.
All right, Tita.
Okay, please, I have a question. So I joined late, I apologize. And I was following up and I'm unable to access the link to this office setup and IT infrastructure project
You,
plan.
you have it.
You're,
You're
you're on the
safe.
sheet. I can see her.
Really?
Yeah.
Let
Okay,
me
this is your
check.
screen, right? I can see her icon there. You're on the sheet.
Yeah, I can see you.
But I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing the previous sheet for the
You need
previous.
to you need to look at it. There's a tab. There are tabs
Okay.
along the bottom.
All
And
right. Yeah.
there, there you go.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Anything else from anyone? All right. Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you all very, very much. We all know what to do now. And I look forward to catching up and seeing you all on Friday evening. Okay. Great stuff.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye.
All right
Thank
now.
you.
All right.
Great.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night. All right.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye,
Good
Mr.
night.
OJ.
Good night. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.